This is your 6th book. I couldn't believe it. 6th book. You must enjoy writing.
This is the first book I wrote because I wanted to write it, not because somebody said, hey, here's another book deal, and come up with a book, which...
Wait, so you wrote the other books just to make some money, is what you're saying?
Not my first one. My first one I wrote on my own, but then, you have a successful book, and they go, hey, do you have another book? And you're like, sure. And then, that, so on and so forth.
Right.
And so I got kind of stuck in that cycle. So this was the first book I've written in like 6 years. I really wanted to write a book when I had something to say.
Yeah, okay, so this is a book where you basically went into therapy and you just go through sort of the evolution of what you learned about yourself in therapy, is that right?
I went to a psychiatrist after the election because I couldn't handle that. And then I thought I was angry about Donald Trump. It turns out I was angry about a lot of childhood stuff that was unresolved. My brother...
What if none of us are mad at Donald Trump? What if we're all mad about our childhoods? We're just confused.
What if everyone's mad about my childhood?
Yeah.
What if the whole world's just pissed about my childhood?
Could be, possible.
Well, the therapy's obviously working.
I just wanted to learn how to be more of a narcissist,
exactly.
not less. No, my brother died when I was a young girl, and there's a lot of family trauma that happened because of that, not just that,
Right.
the aftermath of that, of course. But I just always assumed that I was too strong and too cool to ever have to delve into real therapy. Like I thought, oh, I'll never have to look at that part of myself. Plus in LA, everybody's into therapy is kind of like silent retreats, it was in my mind, and avocado and kale and all of that. And I was very hesitant to become one of those people.
Right, right. You sort of were suspicious of the whole process.
Yes.
Then you get into it, and you learn a lot about yourself. For example, you decided, once you'd gone into therapy, that you were way too impatient and judgmental.
Right. So he had to give me a lot of examples. I would go off on people if they didn't do what I liked. I'm sure you've seen that happen with me. I was very judgy and I had no patience. And
So like what, give me an example of like, and just in everyday life, because I'm fascinated by this. I've talked to many people who've said, oh, my life changed, I'm a different person now. And you think, are you really? When was like the last time you really lost it and got irritated?
Well, I have this week, I'm on tour for my book, so I was going to Clearwater, Florida. I was already a little bit like, oh, Clearwater Scientologist, like, ugh. So I get on the plane, and there's a guy there, and he's a big, kind of Floridian, okay? And he,
That's the nicest way to describe someone from Florida. He is a Floridian.
Yes. So I get on the plane and I'm sitting next to him and I was like, okay, and now I meditate and I do breathing exercises so I never am rude to people ever. I try not to be, obviously, I'm not perfect, but he started farting on the plane. He farted 8 times on a 5.5-hour flight. So this was a test for me, because normally I'd be like, hey, buddy, shut up, and I would, I'd take duct tape.
You don't say shut up to someone who farted.
Well, I would have, yeah.
Maybe zip it.
I would have. No, I would have turned him around, face down, and been like, shut up, to his butthole if I had to. I would have stapled it shut if it was me 5 years ago.
I love that there's an exact count.
Yeah.
8 times.
Yeah.
Like you had a clicker.
My eyes were closed, and I was like, oh, no, that can't be happening. This is terrible. This is terrible. And I was like, no, Chelsea, this is a human being. Obviously, he's sick or something. I was like, just breathe. And then I'm like, breathing. And I'm like, no, don't breathe. That's his butt. Don't breathe it.
Right.
And I was like...
an oxygen mask will deploy.
Yes, that's what I needed. That's exactly what I needed.
For a landing.